So this past week in the 2023 NFL season was certainly interesting. And I'm not talking about, for at least what I'm about to say, not the good kind of interesting with what I took away from it. But that being said, let's get into the week that was week 8 of the 2023 NFL season. So we kick things off with Thursday Night Football, only behind that Jeff Bezos paywall, pal, as Gabe Davis and Dalton Kincaid each notched a touchdown catch from Josh Allen, who also rushed for one himself, as the Buffalo Bills survived a Hail Mary from Baker Mayfield and the Bucs that they honestly could have had at the end, but alas, they just couldn't haul it in, as the Bills survived the Bucs 24-18 on Thursday night. Going to the Sunday slate of games, starting with the early morning portion first, Eddie Pinheiro scored the dinero game-winning field goal as Bryce Young scored his first NFL win, and the Panthers were also treated to their first NFL win of the season as they beat the Houston Texans and CJ Stroud 15-13. The Cowboys whipped the Rams' yellow and gold candy ass, or the yellow and blue per se, on all sides of the ball. Dak Prescott threw for 3 touchdowns. The defense picked 6 Matthew Stafford, and they also blocked a punt and got a safety out of it on special teams, as the Cowboys whipped that Rams candy asses 43-20. And for the Minnesota Vikings, well, they beat the Packers 24-10, but oh man, that win, that came at a very high price because they pretty much lost the remaining heart and soul of that offense. And I'm talking about Kirk Cousins, because while he notched 3 touchdown passes to put up the Vikings up big in that game, unfortunately, he's now gone for the season with a torn Achilles injury. Pretty rough for Minnesota, man. I wouldn't say they were in the conversation for the NFC North, but they at least kind of had a decent shot to try and get themselves into a little bit of a playoff contention. But nonetheless, now they got to decide what they got to do for the rest of the season. More on that in a bit. But alas, Minnesota beats Green Bay 24-10, but at what cost? Derek Carr lit up a disappointing Colts defense for 2 touchdowns, with Alvin Kamara and Taysom Hill also getting pay dirt, as the Saints ran away from the Colts 38-27. Despite a tough Patriots defense, Tua Tagovailoa threw for 2 touchdowns, including the game sealer to Jalen Waddle, as the Dolphins waddled their way past the Patriots 31-17. A game that had 24 total punts, no offense wanting to throw the ball, and the Giants losing now their backup, Tyrod Taylor, to a rib injury. Greg Zuerlein ended the Battle of New York misery with a game-winning field goal. Yes, in overtime, mind you, as the Jets won the Battle of Misery in New York over the Giants 13-10 in overtime. Travis Etienne, the running back, capped a big day for himself in the Pittsburgh rain with a big third quarter touchdown catch and 2-point conversion, as the Jaguars gutted out a rainy win over the Pittsburgh Steelers heading into their bye week, with the Steelers also losing their quarterback to a rib injury in the second quarter. And you had the MVP, Mitch Trubisky, taking over for the rest of the game. The Jaguars beat the Steelers 20-10. Will Levis got the call to start in place of the injured Ryan Tannehill, and he delivered with 4 touchdowns, as the Titans held on to beat the Falcons 28-23, who the Falcons benched Desmond Ridder at halftime to the concussion. And meanwhile, in the nation's capital, Washington gave its best shot once again to the Philadelphia Eagles, but unfortunately, Jalen Hurts and the Eagles offense were once again too much to overcome. They came back from a 14-3 deficit, as A.J. Brown had a big monster receiving day, as the Eagles beat the Commanders 38-30. Going to the afternoon slate of games, despite a handful of mistakes on offense, Geno Smith found his rookie receiver, Jackson Smith-Njigba. I gotta say that because some of you will probably say in the comments that, oh, I'm not pronouncing this name correctly, but I'm gonna say it slowly and surely, just to help myself and you all out. But anyway, he found his rookie receiver, Jackson Smith-Njigba, in the clutch with 40 seconds left to overtake the Browns 24-20. Gus the Bus Edwards was rolling for Baltimore with 3 rushing touchdowns, but Josh Dobbs and the Arizona Cardinals kept wanting to hang around. They didn't want to go away. And the Ravens eventually held on to beat the Cardinals 31-24. The Denver defense forced 5 turnovers on an ill Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs, as Russell Wilson did his part with 3 touchdowns to 3 different receivers, and they snapped a long losing streak that dates back to the Broncos' last Super Bowl championship season in 2015, as they upset the Kansas City Chiefs 24-9. Joe Burrow showed just how fully healthy he was from that calf injury, how the bye week really helped him out, as he completely dissected my San Francisco defense for 3 touchdowns, as Cincinnati bullied the brakes off of the 49ers 31-17. And then in the Sunday night game that nobody asked for, Justin Herbert threw for 3 touchdowns while the Chargers defense shut down Tyson Bagent's spotlight that was only shining for 1 week. But nonetheless, Clippers football reigned supreme over Bears football 30-13 on Sunday night. Then in your Monday night game to close out week number 8, rookie running back Jahmyr Gibbs finally had his big breakout game the Lions were waiting for, as he rushed for over 100 yards and had a big third quarter touchdown that iced Jimmy Garoppolo and the Raiders 26-14. So those were your games for week number 8. Let me know what you guys thought about your teams or any of the other teams that aren't your teams, but still want to give your thoughts on them in the comments below. And yeah, let's have a discussion about those games. But anyway, let's get into my winners and losers of week number 8. Starting off with my 2 winners, give credit to where it's due with the Seattle Seahawks. Their offense sleepwalked for most of the game with a lot of careless mistakes, like a couple of interceptions from Geno Smith. But once their defense came through with one more chance, like a tip interception from PJ Walker, they had a couple, like a little under a minute left, and Geno Smith in the offense came in clutch in the final minute, plus against a strong Browns defense that just couldn't make a stop. So good of them. And then Tyler Lockett and Jackson Smith-Njigba have been very helpful for Geno Smith. And then not even consider that. Oh, I'm not sure if DK Metcalf is back from his injury yet, but if he isn't, once he comes back into the lineup and they clean up on those mistakes, they could make a case to strengthen that new hold that they have on the NFC West, which they're now leading in. The Jacksonville Jaguars, we don't give enough love for how the all-elite Jaguars have been in this 5-game winning streak that they've been on. But, they're getting it here. Trevor Lawrence in the offense has been clicking. Sure, Trevor Lawrence makes a little careless interceptions here and there, but he has the running game has been going well with ETN. Trevor Lawrence and Calvin Ridley have been a really good quarterback receiver duo. And then defensively, although they can use another piece in the secondary, maybe by the time of this recording, this is before the trade deadline, by the way, maybe they could find something via trade if they have assets for it. But the defense has made some big plays and stops. So the Jaguars sit comfortably atop their AFC South division, and going to the second half, they should be able to continue that momentum. Now, as for my losers for this week, actually before that, let me talk about an honorable mention for this week. The Detroit Lions, because they beat the Raiders. I mean, most teams can beat the Raiders, even though the Raiders gave them a little bit of a fight. But for the Lions, the rest of the way, I mean, this NFC North, it's basically theirs to lose, because in wake of the Kirk Cousins injury, the Vikings are probably going to struggle with whoever's going to be the next man up at quarterback. The Packers with Jordan Love have been terrible during their losing streak. And, well, of course, we all know with Bears football, I mean, the Lions have been making a couple of mistakes in these last couple of games. But this is basically Detroit's division to lose. They're 6-2. They have a bye coming up. They still have their second half of the season to go. If they don't fuck this up, this NFC North is like right there by the balls for them to take. So this is basically their division now. So for my losers for this week, my San Francisco 49ers. Their defense for the third straight week looked like dog dookie water. Looked like total shit. I mean, for as much as I want to put the blame on defensive coordinator Steve Wilkes, I mean, sure, he has a lot of like bad schemes and all that, but the defense on the field not exactly doing its best job either, trying to execute a simple tackle, especially in the pass rush. Like, they're not hitting home. They're not pressuring the quarterback. And offensively, yes, they're missing Trent Williams and Deebo Samuel, but man, they haven't been able to adapt to them. And in turn, Christian McCaffrey, the running back, his production is really dipping. And I don't know why Kyle Shanahan clearly doesn't want to like trust in like a running back like Jordan Mason or try out Tyron Davis-Price. I don't know. And then worst of all, now so much pressure is being put on Brock Purdy to try and carry this offense that he's turning the ball over even more now. It's getting that bad. It's getting that bad in San Francisco. So some will say that the bye week will come at a good time, and it comes at a good time. But they've lost 3 straight. They have to fix something. And they better hope that whatever they do during the bye week fixes a large amount of problems that have come that fast. And then this doesn't necessarily revolve around a team or a player, but it's just all the QB injuries that have piled up this week. And honestly, throughout the season, man, like it honestly sucks to see injuries happen because, you know, it takes away, it stops players from doing what they love the most. I mean, this particular week, it was Matthew Stafford with a thumb injury, Kenny Pickett and Tyrod Taylor with the rib injury. And then now you have Kirk Cousins, who hasn't suffered a major injury ever in his career. He has his first major one with the Achilles tear. I mean, damn, Kirk Cousins, I mean, for as much criticism as we give Kirk Cousins for how he plays, I mean, dude's a fighter, man. He really is a fighter. I'll give him a lot of credit for that. It's just really unfortunate that for how, I mean, give credit to this, he's actually been playing pretty well. It's just that the team around him is just like not there. It's just kind of unlucky. But it's just been an awful situation for Kirk Cousins and the Vikings. Speaking of which, that's my one big takeaway from week 8. What did the Minnesota Vikings do at the trade deadline at the time of recording this? What did they do in the wake of Kirk Cousins' injury? It's season ending, obviously, but now here's the problem. I don't like, I mean, as a casual sports fan, I mean, I can try to give you something, but I mean, obviously it's not going to be the most expert analysis, but I imagine, you know, in my personal opinion, they're probably going to like keep anyone that they thought of trading, such as like their edge rusher, Danielle Hunter, because I mean, on one end, you're in the mix for a playoffs, like on the verge of a playoff spot, but at the same time, you just lost your starting quarterback that's been like your heart and soul of the offense, and now he's gone because of the Achilles injury, which is pretty rough. So it's like you kind of have to figure out like what you got to do for like the second half of the season for if you're Minnesota, because you know Cousins was playing at a high level and got Minnesota back on track until the injury. But now what do you do? Looking at the quarterback position for Minnesota, your answers are like not exactly great. That rookie 5th rounder, Jaren Hall, looking at the highlights from that game, he struggled. I mean, kind of expected when you're put in that spot, but maybe if he plays one game, I don't know. Nick Mullins, some Niners fans are familiar with him. He's on injury reserve with the shoulder injury. And then Sean Mannion, the veteran, he's on the practice squad. I don't know what you do at the quarterback position. Maybe a day 3 pick for someone like Jacoby Brissett. Like maybe trade for someone like Jacoby Brissett, or maybe someone familiar. If Case Keenum is still out there, maybe you go and get him. Whatever team he's on, like backing up someone. I don't know. I don't think the NFC North is a realistic possibility anymore for Minnesota. I'm if it ever was, but they're still kind of in that playoff conversation. But they're like not like gonna make any like progress in the playoffs. But they're still in that conversation. But at the same time, do you really want to make that push just for yourselves to get eliminated in one game? But I don't know. Like, what do you do if you're Minnesota? You have to decide in just a short amount of time, especially in the wake of Kirk Cousins' season-ending injury. So a lot of decisions to be made for the Minnesota Vikings in this short amount of time. So, yeah. Anyway, that is my recap for week number 8 of this 2023 NFL season. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. How your team did, how your team didn't do this week, and speedy recovery to Kirk Cousins and his Achilles injury and his recovery for it. And yeah, hopefully we'll be back to doing what he does best. Anyway, until next time, keep that lasagna very cold in the fridge with your takes on the world of sports. And until next time, peace out.